Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with the High Elves, of all things, going to be facing off against the Skaven once again. I decided to take the High Elves here because I wanted to try something out. And yeah, also kind of follow up on a video I made the other day about how to counter some of the new Skaven stuff. So let's have a look here. I've got Techless and a Noble here hidden in the woods. We've also got some Dragon Princes moving into the woods as well. 3 Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers up front, 5 Spearmen, 2 Lothern Sea Guard out on the flanks with 3 Archers in the center, and 2 Illyrian Reavers, Vanguard deployed in the back. As for the Skaven, we've got a front line of slaves here. We've got 2 Warp Lock Jezzails and Ikit's Zap Zap, Clan Rat Spears and Shields, along with the Storm Vermin with Halberds. We've got also the Plague Monk Censer Bears here. You can see, since my opponent, I deem, is not right on point with his micro, I can actually just squeeze right through this little hole here, and these Reavers are going to get collapsed on then by some of these other units here, but I'm just going to go ahead and pull through, try and get on those Jezzails. You can see the lingering shot from the Bolt Thrower here. As more shots rain in on said Jezzails, we're going to switch to the other unit in just a minute here. But all of this disruption and counterfire is exactly what I referenced in my video the other day about how to counter Jezzails. Yeah, especially since my opponent didn't have any rattling guns or other, kind of other tools to help disrupt. And he's also a little bit late on his micro here, not using any of these troops to come in and try and take out these Reavers here, which is definitely a big mistake. There were some Rat Ogres that were kind of hanging around the background, but yeah, right now it looks like they're trying to get up and around. Unfortunately, this giant, I don't know, Warpstone Boulder or something has crashed in here and made this impassable terrain area, so it's a little bit tough for the Skaven to get up and around, but eventually those Clan Rat Spears do come in and clean up the Illyrian Reavers, but unfortunately the Jezzails are also routing, and so once the Reavers are, away from the fight and they come back from routing, we can use them to potentially clean up those Jezzails. At least that's what I'm thinking at the moment. These other Jezzails, we're still just playing cat and mouse, getting up and around the Skaven. They're not as fast as these Reavers, obviously, so we can pretty much dictate the pace of the engagement, try and get on top of them since there's no Flayers or Rat Ogres in the area. So yeah, Rat Ogres are definitely they're being used a little bit badly here. They needed to stay up and tight and try and screen out these Reavers rather than using the Spears. They will beat down the Reavers just fine. And when you're screening, you kind of want to almost sit them like right on top of the Jezzails, and you need to be right on top of your micro. And a lot of people, when they sit back kind of defensively like this, tend to think that you can kind of just click and shoot and win, and to a degree you can, against certain builds, certainly. But if your opponent's on top of their micro, they can find those gaps and get in, and you can see these Jezzails are getting cleaned up here. So that is going to force my opponent to advance, and all of a sudden he's in a really bad situation. These Censer Bears are advancing, Skrolk has come forward, he's summoned up some Plague Monks here, the slaves are also trying to get in and disrupt, but the massed Archer fire is obviously going to be super painful for these low armor Skaven here. The High Elves just pouring it in, and Skaven getting absolutely obliterated. Likewise, the Bolt Throwers, now that most of the weapon teams have been dealt with, are able to switch to Scattershot and focus on these Censer Bears here who have taken a ton of damage. Very expensive unit, but very low armor, and of course that means we can punish them quite well with those Bolt Thrower shots. And yeah, Skrolk's in the front line. He's doing his best to try and drain away some of these infantry. Infantry fight will take some time, but it's definitely not going to be great for the Skaven, and you can see already with the weapons teams down, with Ikit's Zap Zap down, it's going to be pretty hard for them to come back. Over here, we had the Dragon Princes and the Noble, along with some Spearmen, clean up the Rat Ogres that were trying to come around to get a flanking position. But at this point, most of the high-value units have been eliminated for the Skaven, and it's just generally not going to be great for them. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, Skrolkman definitely still has some summons in his pocket. There are still these Council Guard as well, but I mean, I've used very little of my Winds of Magic so far. We did get a Liber Bubonicus on Techless, but we're going to go ahead and respond with a nice Overcast net here and just have everyone focus fire on these pinned Council Guard here. And although the High Elf bows don't necessarily do armor-piercing damage, they still, with enough volume of fire, they do enough armor-piercing damage that we can work through those Council Guard relatively well at a distance there. And yeah, most of the Spearmen got dealt with. But that's pretty much it. Tekla's having to run away from the assassin here. Obviously, he's much, much faster, even with the assassin's trophy there. But yeah, at this point, we're basically just waiting to clean up. Dragon Princess ping-ponging around to various targets, making sure that we stay mobile, stay active. There are lots of clan rats still, but I mean, clan rats can really only do so much for you at the end of the day. This outcome is pretty much more or less decided. You can see some slaves who are coming back to try and get on these bolt throwers, but we managed to interrupt with those high elf spearmen there. And yeah, just able to really control the pace of the battle from start to finish, and that's kind of where you need to go. Obviously, my opponent's build did have some pretty glaring weaknesses. I would say Doom Wheels are almost an auto pick here. Ikit himself, the Regiment of Renown Doom Wheel, or even just regular Doom Wheels can really punish high elf players in a number of different ways. This build, I had some tools like the Noble and the Dragon Princess. If I was able to catch a Doom Wheel, you know, in a big blob and get the Noble on him, I could probably have dealt with him. Would have been tough. Flares, you know, same thing. I had some tools to deal with them, but probably realistically not as much as I really needed. So I would say those two, you're going to want to take some here, at least one or two of each. But yeah, you can see at this point we pretty much used up all the ammo on the bolt throwers, so that's some great cost efficiency there. The assassin's back here trying to attack the crew, but you know, he's more meant against characters. He's not really great soloing a big group like that. Dragon Princes have got a full surround on Lord Skrolk there. Most of the summoned units are off the field. You can see the last of these plague boys running for the hills, so yeah, it's going to be the end for the Skaven in just a moment here. We're getting pretty close to army losses, but a few rats bravely holding out at this point. Spear on spear here with the elves versus the rats, and a weirdly shadowy map. I don't know what's up with the lighting here, but anyway. The archers secured, pouring in some more fire. Looks like Skrolk's trying to pull up some more reinforcements here. One more unit of clan rat summons emerging as the cloud cover finally gives us some decent lighting. But yeah, so far so good. I say so far so good. We're pretty much done for at this point. It's just a matter of time. So let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit through this late game as Skrolk is being a bit stubborn, as not wanting to give up the fight, but eventually realizes that it's futile to resist and does indeed give up the fight. So yeah, like I was saying, I definitely think that I'm not the biggest fan of the Censer Bears. They're a fun unit, certainly, but they're just so squishy for their cost, and for the same cost you can bring a Doom Wheel, which is incredibly tanky, causes fear and terror, huge armor piercing damage, it's mobile, you know, has mass to stop up various cav units and so forth. So just in general, I would say you probably don't want to bring these Censer Bears as compared to like a Doom Wheel. Like straight up, if you just swap this out for a regular Doom Wheel, I think all of a sudden this build becomes a lot more scary, especially for what I had brought here. I didn't necessarily have a ton of tools. Probably could have dealt with it with the Noble and the Dragon Princess. You can see the Dragon Princess up to 190 kills at the end of the day. Once the Rat Ogres and the Warp Lightning Cannon were dealt with, I mean, unless I somehow blundered into the Council Guard, then there was pretty much nothing to take down these Dragon Princes. And yeah, the artillery duel, obviously, in the beginning, going very much in my favor, with the sneaky Reavers getting in there, and even, you know, coming back from route in the late game and chasing various routing units, did rack up quite a few kills, 91, 110, 102, and 89, and 94, 98 in these archers. They did take down quite a few of the chaff here, but yeah, overall pretty good. The bolt throwers all started out with 1 XP chevron, managed to gain 1 more over the course of the battle, taking out the weapons teams and the Warp Lightning Cannon. So yeah, you can see the Jezzails and the Warp Lightning Cannon, very significant investment for my opponent, did not pay off at all. And if he had, you know, like, let's say you take, you know, you trade the Plague Pack out for Doom Wheel, and then maybe you trade out this assassin for a unit of flayers, perhaps. You'd have to maybe cut some shields here on these clan rats, but that would be fine. Just even 1 unit of flayers and 1 unit and 1 Doom Wheel would make this build a lot scarier. Then play a little bit more defensively if you can. Obviously, you want to use those Rat Ogres to defend your weapons teams, and you know, you can also use the Doom Wheel and the flayers to a degree as well. Although the Cav can kind of get past them a little bit, but certainly they do have enough mass and the fear and terror and all that is obviously very useful. And for whatever reason, the High Elves just sometimes struggle against big, armored, single-model units that cause terror, especially if they're super mobile. So yeah, I mean, 1450 versus, I guess, only 1300, so it's not necessarily a one-to-one. Excuse me, you would have to find some other points, but like I said, just cut the shields off the clan rats. That would give you enough points to trade out for a Doom Wheel. You could do some other things. There's an argument to be made that maybe you cut the Warp Lightning Cannon and bring, you know, some Rattling Guns or something else, but I'll let you guys talk about that in the comments down below. Hope you guys have enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.